Let's talk a little bit about types of attacks. Not all attacks are computer attacks. Many, many are human attacks. It's very, very commonplace to get a phone call. Oh, this is the help desk, and we're going to be changing our database server around a little bit, and I'm going to send you something, and when you click on it, would you please enter your username and password? Now, what that user hasn't realized is that that wasn't the help desk at all calling. That was somebody on the inside or the outside, basically social engineering a person, telling them expect something, and then they send them something by email, and you double click it, and they put in their username and password. The user thinks that they won't have access to the database if they don't do this. They don't know. Of course they don't know. They don't know how to manage a server. And they put in a username and password, and that thing collects it, and then that person gets it. Or, very, very common also, this is so-and-so CIO or some high-level person, and we want to make sure that you are conforming with our password policy. You have to make sure that your password policy is at least 8 characters long and 3 different types, and I need to know for a fact that you're conforming with it. So please tell me what your password is to make sure that you're not in trouble. And then people, they'll give it, you know. So one of the things, this is where user education is just as important. The one thing we got to educate users on for social engineering is no one is supposed to know their password except them. Nobody, ever. You know, I mean, there are online websites where you need help, and then they can look up your password, and then they send it to you, but no one is supposed to know, just be able to know your password, okay? No matter who they are, no matter how high their rank is, they're not supposed to know your password. And we need to educate people that there are very specific protocols. So when we hire that new finance director or whatever, and she goes straight into a meeting, and I know already, working in the help desk, that our standard is everybody gets the same beginning password, and they're supposed to change it immediately. But she's too busy, and she went straight to a meeting, and I already know that we have a naming convention for people's logons. It's always first initial, last name, or first name, last initial, or whatever it is. And I can go log on as her. So we need to educate people, hey, you know, when you're ready, log on immediately. Change your password immediately. No one's ever supposed to know it. I can reset it for you, but you need to change it immediately. Yeah, and so we have these procedures. And as an IS auditor, we're looking to see, are they following these procedures? I knew a manager for her entire tenure never changed her password. She kept the same default starting password that everybody is given in the beginning. She kept it the whole time until she left that position. And there weren't controls in place to force her to change her password when she first logged on, or to force her to change her password on a regular basis. So we have attacks that are not merely technical, like I'm scanning, but there are so many attacks are social engineering. How many times have you gotten an email saying, help me, I'm stranded in another country, and can you just help me, and I'm stuck without my passport? And usually what it is it'll be somebody you sort of know. Well, this was a virus or a worm sending this email out. I mean, I've seen plenty of these. Help me, I got stuck, I went to a conference, I'm stranded, da-da-da-da. And I'm thinking to myself, why are they sending the email to me? They don't know me well enough to ask me for that. Or you get these even more clever ones, these Nigerian scams, right? Well, I'm so-and-so, and you know, they make themselves look to be an important person, or I'm some relative of a deposed leader or something. And I've got all this money, can you please help me get it out? And ultimately what they're doing is they're going to make it look like they're laundering money through you and you can keep a cut. There never was any money. They're basically just emptying your bank account. Or many, many times, and even the legitimate vulnerability scanning tools have this capability just to prove social engineering. You get an email saying, win a free downloadable MP3. Or a free something, just click this. Congratulations, you've won something. This is no joke. You've won something, just click this. And they click it, and what they don't realize is when they've clicked it, their browser then makes a connection to a malicious site in the background. They don't see it, and the malicious site then is collecting private information or downloading tools to hack the machine, whatever. So social engineering is a big one, and it can be as simple as shoulder surfing too. You know, when someone's typing their username and password, I can just, you know, kind of be looking over there or looking over their shoulder to see what they type. Or I can even be dumpster diving, going through. It's amazing. I've seen people take old checks, businesses take old checks and just throw them underneath a stairwell because they haven't had time to shred them or they haven't had time to dispose of them. Or I've seen boxes of sensitive financial documents sitting out by the dumpster. So it's the human aspect of attack as well as the technical one where I'm port scanning and I'm trying to then break into a service or guess somebody's password. Here's another one for the human-based attacks. This was actually a social experiment by some high school kids. I'm not going to tell you what district or anything. But the kids basically did a survey of staff, you know, teachers and administrators and the like. Oh, what's your spouse's name? How many kids do you have? What are their names? Do you have any pets? And then they went and saw if they could log on as those people using birthdays and pet names and kids' names and spouses' names. And it doesn't take long to figure that out either because people use things they can remember. So the education to prevent the human-based attack is a big one. Then for the technology-based attack, then it's a matter of you yourself doing your own vulnerability scans. And like I said, there are free ones and paid ones, or you pay somebody. Doing your own vulnerability scans to see what needs to be shored up. Oh, you need this patch. Oh, you've got that open port. You've got services running. You've got default accounts with no password, or you've got weak passwords. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things. And there are whole classes just on ethical hacking. So that's something that you as an IS auditor will probably be involved in to look for those vulnerabilities, to look for human vulnerabilities, which really all boil down to not proper training and ignorance, and not following procedure like they should. And also looking, you know, for the technical aspects, and look to see if whoever you're auditing is also doing these things as well as part of due diligence and due care. Now, computer crime, the United States classified computer crime a while ago, and I'd like to share with you a website. You can actually go to the FBI website and you can see information about computer crimes. Cybercrime is investigated by the FBI and the Secret Service. And you can go right here even to the FBI's website and you can see about cyber threats and scams, some common ones, some email scams and warnings. They'll even show you some cybercrime fugitives here, and they'll give you information about this. You can also go to SANS.org, and you can see the most common vulnerabilities at that time. So when we scroll down SANS.org, we can see information about it. We can then get information. We can see security awareness. They have information about penetration testing. There are Isaca, of course, also has all the information that you need as an IS auditor, as also when you're doing IS management as well. So there are loads of places that you can go. ISC Squared is another place where you can go to get free resources to find out what are the latest vulnerabilities. So like right here we can see the 20 critical security controls, the top 25 software errors. Part of a information security manager's job for due diligence is to always keep themselves educated and abreast of what's going on and knowing what are the latest trends, because these trends will be changing constantly and they'll be updated constantly. When there is an incident, and it's not going to be a matter of if, it will be a matter of when. When there is an incident, another question is, what is the incident response? Part of doing due diligence and due care is having good incident response in place. Having the ability to respond, having a method and a procedure, and that includes communications. If there's a major incident, you don't want people shouting down the hall. You only want certain people, and you want them to communicate a certain way. And you certainly don't want the receptionist telling the news media something. So there has to be a very clear protocol. If there's a major incident, then everybody stays quiet and you refer to the public information officer or whoever is supposed to handle it, the CEO or whoever is going to be the person who can speak authoritatively to the news. So you need to make sure that you have the incident response capability, that you have a team that has the expertise to deal with this, and that you have procedures in place. The last thing you want is, why'd you shut the computer off? Now all of the processes that were running on it are off, they're gone, and we can't prove anything. Oh, well, I didn't want it to spread. No, if there's a major incident going on, isolate, don't shut down. We'll need to do some immediate live forensics here. Unplug it from the network, sure, but don't just turn off the power. So you need to educate people, and there are whole classes just on how, from an IT perspective, on how to deal with this. As an IS auditor, we want to know, do they have these procedures in place for what they determined was adequate for them? Have they trained their people? If we were to just go up and ask somebody, hey, if there was a major virus incident, what do you do? Or, hey, if there was a major security breach and it showed up in the newspaper, what do you do? And so we need to know that they have incident response in place, they have trained people, they have procedures, and everybody knows, from the receptionist to the janitor to the CEO, what their role is in this and what they're supposed to do and not supposed to do. It's part of knowing that they did their due diligence. So we have to have the incident response capability. We have to know that all business functions are covered, all the critical ones, and we have to know how to contain damage without damaging evidence. So these are all parts of the incident response capability. If this is a mom and pop donut shop, probably we don't care so much. We're worried about money being stolen out of the till or financial records and maybe some private HR records, people's medical records, whatever, but we probably don't worry so much about talking to the news media. So part of your incident response process, here is a checklist that you need to make sure that the incident response process has something in place for all of these. And again, it depends upon the organization. A large organization had better have all of this. They'd better have the ability to detect. They'd better be able to have the ability to initiate incident response and escalate it depending upon how bad it is, and who to contact and who not to talk to. They need to have a way to record what's going on and record who said what, who saw it first, when did it happen, what did you actually see? Because if you're going in forensically, you're going to interview people. When did you see it, at what time, and what did you see? And is there any other material evidence that supports what you're saying right now? Were you looking at a log? Do you still have some kind of, do you have something you can show me to corroborate what you just said? And so then they have to have the ability to evaluate and contain, eradicate and control the damage, to escalate and respond, to recover data and recover processes and recover business operations and continuity, to close the whole incident and be done, and really important, the post-incident review. Okay, folks, what did we learn from this? A large organization will insist that after every project, whether it be a normal project or an incident, we have a debrief. What did we learn? And if we didn't learn anything, then we didn't do a very good job. And there are some organizations that if a mid-level manager after a project says, I didn't learn anything, they might even fire the guy for not doing the job of, we're always looking for a way to improve process. So that post-incident review so that we can prevent it from happening again. Now, in reality, we can make all kinds of recommendations. Will upper management act on it? That's up to them. They may have a thing where they say, but we don't have the budget to do what you recommended. But as part of our due diligence, we got to make sure that we make those recommendations. And we say, if we don't, then this will happen again. Because guess who they're going to start blaming? They say, well, this happened before. Why did it happen? Well, yeah, but there were these recommendations. They were documented. They weren't acted on. As an IS auditor, we want to see all of that. And so we want to see the lessons learned. And when we are looking at their incident response, we want to see that they have accounted for every one of these phases of incident response. The next thing we're going to do, have a lot of fun with, is cryptography.